Hi, everyone. Sarah here from the Girls Like Rock 2 podcast. I want to share my top 10 Pulp songs. I'm sure I'm not the only one this year listening to a lot of Pulp with their new album that came out in the summer, also with their tour. They did stop by Toronto, and for work and a few other reasons, I wasn't able to make the show. I had serious concert FOMO for that one. I wish I would have been able to make it. I think Pulp would be an awesome band to see live, and just with their unique musical style, super curious to see how they are live. So hopefully they come back at some point to Canada, or maybe it would work out and I would be able to see them in the UK. That would be super cool. My Pulp perimeters for the top 10 Pulp songs before we get started. I will start this by saying these are just simply my favorite Pulp songs based on absolutely nothing other than they're the ones that I personally really enjoy for the music, Jarvis Cocker's musical delivery, the lyrics, and the ones that have always stayed with me throughout the years, or the ones that, listening more and more to Pulp this year, the ones that really stuck out for me. I don't have anything from their first three albums. I didn't realize Pulp had three albums before His and Hers. I knew they had some music before that, but I didn't realize it was three full length studio albums. So I didn't include anything. I don't really know much of Pulp before His and Hers. I did listen to Separations. It's good. I will give an honorable mention to Love Is Blind. That's a good song, but I just feel like I didn't listen to Separations enough to add anything to my personal top 10 Pulp songs. As well, I don't have anything from More. I have listened to More a couple of times this year. I like it. I think it's a good album. I think it's a continuation for Pulp. Like, they didn't try to recreate Different Class or This Is Hardcore. I don't think. I think it's a really solid album, and there's some really good tracks on it. But again, I just feel like I haven't listened to it enough for any of those songs to be initiated into my personal top 10. Although I will give an honorable mention to Spike Island. That's a really good track, and it almost made my top 10 list. That's a good one. Maybe in a couple years, it will be there. As a kid, it was more Different Class and This Is Hardcore. In our household, I've been listening to a lot of His and Hers, and dare I say it, I think my favorite Pulp album is His and Hers. That is a solid album, and it introduced Pulp, I think, more into maybe more of the UK musical landscape before their explosion with Different Class. It's a really solid album, and if you only know Different Class and This Is Hardcore, I highly recommend you check it out. Yeah, it's great, and there's some tracks from there on my list. Let's get into it. My top 10 Pulp songs. Number 10, I'm a Man. This is from This Is Hardcore, and okay, it was almost between I'm a Man and Spike Island for number 10, but I kept with I'm a Man. This one always, I don't know, stuck out for me when I did listen to a little bit of This Is Hardcore growing up. And this is 1998. And it's kind of a different way to sing about gender identity at the time and what it means to be a male, maybe just less of the macho male and more like being vulnerable, just a deeper emotional vulnerability to being a man. And I think Jarvis, with that, he sings with a bit intensity that really shines on this album with this song. And I often, in my older age now, listening more to lyrics, and you can't help but dive deeper into the lyrics of Pulp and what the nuances and what everything means. Of course, like, Jarvis is such a great lyricist. I think he writes all the lyrics for Pulp. And with I'm a Man, in my older age, I connected to the cover of This Is Hardcore. I'm not a huge fan of the cover of This Is Hardcore. I guess I'd have to read a bit more. I'm sure there's some literature out there about this album cover, and maybe it's like a double cheekiness of Pulp to have that cover and what that means in terms of like the more straight male gaze, maybe a bit like a commentary on the lad culture that got bigger in like the 90s, especially I think more so maybe in the UK, that connection with Britpop. So I can kind of see that. I will give Pulp this, that it's a memorable cover. I remember being a little girl and my older brother had This Is Hardcore, and we had tons of CDs in our house. It was like HMV in my brother's room. And this is one album cover that always stuck out for me for some reason. And I'm like 10, 11 looking at this cover. It was very striking. Now, being older, I understand it a bit more, of course. But I connect that with I'm a Man, because it's like you have to be into this image of what a masculine man is and that whole gender identity piece. I just thought that was really neat that Pulp were kind of talking about this in 1998. So maybe that's why that song sticks out for me, and almost the kind of juxtaposition with this song with the album cover. But I'm still, maybe this is cliche, but I'm not a huge fan of that cover, probably for obvious reasons. But again, I understand maybe the commentary of it. But Different Class, that's such an awesome cover. So, but I'm a Man, number 10. Number 9. Some Pulp fans, you might think this should be higher on the list. Sorted for Ease and Whiz. It's from, of course, Different Class. And this is a great song. It's like a bit more musically calmer and maybe kind of gentler in the musical delivery of it and the arrangement compared to other songs on Different Class. But it's a great song. It was a single, and again, kind of the classic Pulp commentary on kind of social issues, and this one with the rave culture and youth culture. And it's very blatant in its lyrics about rave and like coming down after a crazy night out. But like deeper, it's like the youth culture and what it means to be a young person and your own self-identity, and also the identity within your community and within the community of people that are your own age, just kind of like finding yourself. And reading up a little bit more on like rave culture, we had that, I guess, a bit here in North America, but I know it was big in like the UK, especially in like the late 80s. And I guess you can hear that in the music. And I just remember this article of like Noel Gallagher talking about going out into like a field and just taking drugs. Now, this is before Noel Gallagher was Noel Gallagher, but I was like, that's just makes me think of this song and just that literal sense of like raving as a young person. But there's also more to it. As a millennial, we did go clubbing quite a bit. Like, you're out there, you're meeting new people, you're being awkward with people that you find physically attractive, with your group of friends too, and just really finding yourself. And I think when you think of Sorted for Ease and Whiz, maybe I'm reading into it way too deeply, but I don't know. I think there's some of that there in the lyrics, and I think it's just really great. And the lyrics suit the musical delivery of this song really well. And also with Sorted for Ease and Whiz, Jarvis, he has that. I guess it's often described as like spoken word style of singing. And he does that very well, Jarvis. That's one of his things. And I just think that's really showcased in Sorted for Ease and Whiz. So if like you don't really know what I'm talking about, I recommend this song to get a sense of Jarvis Cocker's unique singing style. I just think it really shines here really well. Number 8, Party Hard. This is probably the one Pulp song on my top 10 Pulp songs list where it's less about the lyrics and more about the musical style of the song. It's high energy, kind of has like that glam rock vibe to it, an indie sleaze kind of feel. It's just such a great song, like hearing it in a club or maybe like in a cool clothing store. I always thought so. This is like the one Pulp song on here where it's more about the music and less about the lyrics, although the lyrics are cool. Like This Is Hardcore. So getting a bit older, still partying, maybe feeling like you're not the hottie at the club anymore, right? We've all felt that maybe in your like late 20s, early 30s, if you're still going out. There's like that transitional period where should I be partying anymore? Do I want to at this point? And do I have to? It's okay to not want to do it anymore at some point in your life. Maybe just Jarvis getting a little bit older by This Is Hardcore. But as I mentioned, the music is great for this. And Jarvis is a great singer. But even if you like took away the singing, I just think this music is really, really great in Party Hard. Number 7, Do You Remember the First Time? From His and Hers. Great song. Lyrically and also musically too. Just dealing with, again, being young, your identity, and maybe also like your sexual identity as a young person, your encounters with other people your own age, I guess similarly to some of the other songs I was talking about. And I guess it is kind of blunt in that it's like your first time having sex, but I think you can think it a bit deeper too with this song, like just being a young person and your first time experiencing a lot of things for the first time as a young person, like your first crush, your first love, your first heartbreak, and all of that all of that strange energy that comes into play when you're a teenager or even in your early 20s. Do you remember the first time? Offers a really bright, fun chorus. You start to see the wit that you'll see later in Different Class from Jarvis. And I know there is critique that Jarvis Cocker isn't like an amazing singer. I like his singing style. I think Jarvis Cocker is a good singer, and he sings with a lot of, well, maybe this is why people like him, like a genuine intensity, right? Like you can feel that he's really genuine in his lyrics and how he sings. And I think his singing ability really shines here in Do You Remember the First Time? Number 6, Misshapes. I had to add this song because it's an amazing first song opener for an amazing album. I mean, it's like Pulp with Different Class. They get right into it. This is for outsiders, alternative kids. If you were maybe kind of a dork as a young person, which I can relate to, you could feel that, like Jarvis Cocker. Maybe he wasn't the coolest kid growing up, but this song is like, it's a cool song for the alternative crowd. And the opener sets the tone for Different Class. And I think it's also Pulp saying like this album is for that crowd. It's for you, alternative youth culture, that I think was just, I don't know. I think it was just so exciting. You hear that in a lot of music at this time, in the States as well, but definitely in the UK. This is for you, right? Like youth, alternative kids. And you just really feel that in Misshapes. I think it's a great song. And as I said, it sets the tone for Different Class really well. It's fun. Indie rock, has a bit of glam to it, classic Pulp. And kind of like, and Katie and I talked about this with Blur, like a bright, fun music, but with darker, more serious lyrics, right? And Pulp do that really well. And I just think this is a great song, and it's a great first song to an album. And this is one song I would love to hear live. I think Pulp still play this one when I looked at the set list for a couple of their shows this year. I just think this would be a really great song to hear live. Number 5, Halfway Through, Babies. It's from His and Hers. Actually, this is the song that got me into His and Hers. As I mentioned, I didn't really know His and Hers very well as a kid, but this piqued my interest into getting into the album. It's a great song. Again, that awkwardness of being a teen, um, just trying to fit in, trying to find yourself as a young person, relationships, the strangeness of being young, being a teenager. It's embarrassing, it's confusing, quite often, and yeah, you really feel that in Babies. This was actually, I believe, released as a single in 1992, and you can really hear that bridge of like the 80s kind of synth vibe in this song with the 90s more guitar. I just feel like that. And I mean, I'm a huge fan of like New Order, Joy Division, all of that. So like, I guess maybe that's why I really like His and Hers. I find it's a really cool mix of 80s and 90s together. And number 4, Disco 2000. I mean, that has to be on here, right? It's that, that disco glam vibe that Pulp do so well. The lyrics are great, kind of like nostalgia, or being nostalgic for that hope for the future that you had as a young person, in many areas of your life, especially, of course, love. Also, that curiosity, anxiety, excitement for the millennium. Disco 2000, it's upbeat, it's fun, but there's also some seriousness to it with that nostalgia. And as I mentioned, that hope for the future that you have when you're young, maybe a bit of that classic Pulp awkwardness too in the lyrics. Disco 2000 also highlights Jarvis Cocker with his lyrics. They're very specific, very particular. And you could really feel that with Disco 2000. It's definitely radio friendly for sure, right? It was probably one that made Pulp huge. I would think it's one of their 2 big ones. And yeah, it's on my top 10 list because it's an amazing song. Number 3 for me, Lip Gloss. This might be my favorite song on His and Hers. Well, it probably is because it's number 3 for all of my top 10 Pulp songs. It's a great song. And as I just mentioned, in terms of like that particular little mundane points that Jarvis uses in his songs, you really see that like in Lip Gloss, even the title. And it's about breaking up, maybe like the embarrassment and awkwardness of being dumped, heartbreak, moving on in your life, in your romantic life. And with these lyrics, okay, this is my perception of this song. And maybe this is totally off and Jarvis Cocker would be like, that's not what this song is about. But I think it's Jarvis talking to the woman and being like, okay, you were dumped. That sucks. We've all been there, right? But this guy seems like he was kind of a jerk. Like, you could go on and meet someone who is going to love you and respect you for you as a human being, not just because you're pretty with your lip gloss. So this was actually a blessing in disguise. You're going to move on and you're going to meet someone and you're going to be able to have a better, healthier relationship, a deeper relationship. And this can go for anyone. If you're a man, a woman, gender non-binary, gay, straight, bi, you were dumped. Maybe the person was a bit of a loser. You can move on and meet someone who's really going to value you as a human being. That's what I think lip gloss is about. And that's why I love it. I think it's great. Lip gloss is synth heavy. Another reason why I probably personally really love it. It's super catchy. Again, showcases Jarvis's unique singing style really well with that chorus. And lip gloss, with the title, and if you just quickly listen to it, it is glossy. But there is a deeper emotional component to it when you really listen to the lyrics, I think. But as I mentioned, maybe I'm looking way too into this song, but I like it for that. And often songs, it's your own perception. So that's my perception of lip gloss. And it's number 3 on my top 10 pulp favorite songs. Okay, number 2. If you're a pulp snob, you might be a bit like, really, this is your number 2? But for me, number 2 is The Trees. It's the one song on here I realized from We Love Life. Everything else is from their His and Hers, This Is Hardcore, and Different Class. Those are such great albums. The Trees is number 2 for me personally because it's more nostalgia. This is the one song I remember when We Love Life came out. And for pulp, I often just thought of like Disco 2000 and the cover of This Is Hardcore. But I found with We Love Life is they got a lot more reflective, I guess, right? This is like 2001, post Britpop, bands experimenting with their sounds. And I think Pulp did that really well in We Love Life. Like, I do think it's a good album. But The Trees, I just remember I would have been like 15 when this came out. And I just thought it was the coolest song. Like a band actually singing about nature and connecting it to, I don't know, like the human experience and how significant your emotional experience is, but also how insignificant. Like the trees, nature keeps going. Like the only constant is change on this earth and in your life. Again, maybe I'm reading too into this, but that's my interpretation now as an adult. But as a teen, I was just like, oh, this is so cool. A band talking literally about nature. I just thought that was really neat and kind of unique at the time. It's a really great song with the orchestra, the string arrangement. It's a bit more melancholy for sure in its music and how Jarvis, he sings too. Yeah, I just think it's a really good song, and it's the one Pulp song. There was quite a long time where I wasn't really listening to this kind of music, but The Trees for me was one where I always went back to it throughout my like 20s and 30s. Yeah, I don't know, something about it. It really resonated with me as a teen, and it stayed with me. I think it's a really great song. Number 1 Pulp song for me. Yeah, I know. It's my number 1. It's an amazing song. I had to make it number 1. Common People for me, I think for me, it would be, I think it's one of the best songs made of all time. Musically, it's like the climax of pulp, disco, glam rock, indie sleaze, guitar. It's radio friendly, but it keeps that outsider indie rock vibe to it. And it's also Jarvis Cocker at his height of like, again, that specific lyrics, and they're fun, they're witty, they're sharp, they're smart. And with Common People, when now listening to it more as an adult, I just thought it was fun and catchy as a kid. The video is great. But it's when you're listening to it now and it builds and builds within the song and into the chorus, you're thinking, this guy's pissed. And rightfully so. And I just think that social commentary that Pulp do really well it's really truly shines in Common People. And I find it's relatable, and I think it's relatable for a lot of people. And that's maybe part of its appeal and popularity, along with, of course, it's just a great song musically as well. It was played a lot, again, on those Britpop nights. I never got sick of this song. It's amazing. And I throw around the word banger a lot on this podcast, but Common People is a banger. Yeah, just that relatability of the lyrics when you look into it deeper. And if you grew up with some money and you had that protection, and you don't know what it's like, and you're born into a certain situation that is beyond your control, and you just have to make the best of it, for yourself, for your family. Super relatable in that regard. And this song just aged really well in terms of that wealth inequality. And maybe for me, it just aged with me. And if you're a millennial or a Gen Xer, it kind of aged with you too, right? This was big when we were like kids and teens, but you get older and you meet new people from very different backgrounds and life experiences. And if you grew up with some safety of money, you really don't know what it's like to grow up without money and having to save and kind of pick and choose what you can do. And common people can really resonate with other cultures and communities as well, right? That deeper beating of like, you don't know what it's like unless you're really in that, like, walk a mile in my shoes. I just remember going to university and meeting people from like just various backgrounds, various like socioeconomic backgrounds. And if you grew up with money, like you really don't know what it's like. And just, I guess some also like acknowledging your privileges in this world as well. Common People, it's such a fun song. It really is. But when you really look at it, especially when you're older, that just there is a lot of depth and meaning to that politically, socially, and economically, that, like I said, really can resonate with a lot of, I think, communities, of course, in the UK and also internationally too. Classism is in a lot of areas of the world. Common People, number one, I had to do it. It again, with Trees, Common People just always stuck with me. I never got sick of it. It's an amazing song and it's a true banger. Thank you for listening to me and going on about my top 10 Pulp songs. As I mentioned, these are just my personal top 10 Pulp songs and my own interpretation and perceptions of the songs. I would love to know, what are your top 10 Pulp songs? If you have them, let me know, or your top 5, or just your favorite Pulp song. What got you into Pulp? I'd love to know. If you don't mind sharing in the comments. Thank you so much for listening. Katie and I really appreciate your time, your thoughtful comments, your likes, your subscription. We hope you're enjoying this podcast journey as much as we are, because we are really enjoying it. And we will be back next week with another full episode for you. The podcast is currently available on YouTube and Spotify. We post a full new episode every other Friday. Thanks again, and take care.